Well, I think you would first get people, get people in touch with their drive to know. They first of all have to want to know, and without any restrictions. So the theme song of the metaphysician is, don't fence me in. To get them in touch with that longing to know and get that moving. And then just start the moving over when you, as I say, to go down in depth and then out in that, and then just to call their attention to what is all around us we take for granted and then forget about. The is, as Shelley said, the mist of familiarity obscures from us the wonder of our being. Existence is so familiar, it's common to everything, that we just sort of forget about it, and it drops out of sight. To open their eyes again, to recognize the wonder, as Heidegger said, the wonder of all wonders that anything at all exists. To wake people up, you have to wake them up to look not just at the fact of existence, but the act of existence. To wake them up to the wonder of existence. Now that's the kind of thing you can do that by various examples. I could tell you how I discovered. I could tell you my own discovery. What I love to do is ask my students, how did you, if you did, ever discover, wake up to existence, to the wonder of existence? And you get remarkable stories sometimes. Some have not, but I'll tell you how mine happened when I was about 14 or 15, I guess. I used to love to climb up in high places. So I used to climb up the pillars of the George Washington Bridge that had been built not too long before. I used to climb up from the riverbed all the way up to the roadbed, which is about 300 feet up those pillars. Now, it's not that terribly difficult, but you need good rubber-soled shoes and cool nerves. If you imagine yourself climbing up there, it goes like that. You have to be like a monkey. But I couldn't do it now, but I had a lot of courage at that time, so I would climb up and then go across the bridge and then climb up the Palisades on the other side. Places to climb there, the 500-foot-high Palisades. And on one occasion, I was climbing at a place where it said, do not climb here, dangerous. Well, that was the indication to me to go up, so I climbed up there. And then I got about 2/3 of the way up, and then I got stuck. And I couldn't go further, I couldn't reach further, and I couldn't go down. As you know, when climbing, it's easier to go up than down because your eyes are closer to the going up. So I couldn't go down again, I was stuck. And so the cars had stopped on the road down below, and they were yelling at me, come down. And I said, I can't come down, I'm stuck. And the police came, and they said they were going to arrest me. I said, fine, I'd love to be arrested, come up and get me, because they weren't going to venture up. So I just couldn't get down, and I couldn't see how to get up. They said they'd come and let a rope down from the top, and then I thought, gee, I'll get arrested, the family will be disgraced, I'll be thrown in jail and all that. So I figured I've got to do something. So I noticed there was a little sort of a bulge of rock, and I could see around it that there was a place for my feet, there was a foothold. Now, if there was a handhold, if I swung around, if there was a handhold, I'd be able to make it and escape up, but I couldn't see. So I took my life in my hands and swung out into space around. Now, luckily, as you can see, there was a handhold, otherwise I wouldn't be here. So I caught it then, and then made my way up and escaped into the bushes. By the time the police came, they couldn't find me. I disappeared. But as I swung around, and as I swung around into space, I got sort of the taste of existence in my mouth there, how sweet it is to exist. And then I did catch it, and I held on to it. But it was at the point of disappearing. And when you can lose something, you suddenly wake up to its value. When you're just going around, there's no threat to you, you forget all about the wonder of your existence. But actually, we're not in charge of our own existence. We could lose it at any moment. So at that, I got the taste of what it means to exist, and I never forgot that. Racing riders have told me of racing cars. They've told me that things they love when they go full speed going up around the track, way up. If they go further, they'll go off and be killed. At that point, they say they get the taste of existence in their mouths. So it can come from, from the point of losing it, it can come from the loss of a dear one. When you realize now the existence, it can come from total boredom, not bored with this or that, or radical boredom with everything. then you bump into existence. So there are various ways, negative and positive, of doing that. So you have to wake them up to that experience, the wonder of existence, and that can really blow their minds when it hits them. You have to lure them into it, so they get to say that you shouldn't, in a sense, you shouldn't say a horse exists, a tree exists. You should say existence here is horsey. Existence here is human. Everywhere there's existence. Oh, here's an existent in the horsey mode. So you suddenly see existence isn't added on, it's the all-enveloping. And then it's modified here and there. So it's this great fundamental thing that's a perfect wonder, because none of the things around us have to be. So that's what they call an awakening to existence. If you wanted, I could tell you how one girl in my class discovered that. I asked them to write on that. And this was like an ordinary girl in the class, simple, she looked simple, nothing extraordinary, nothing dramatic. When she wrote this paper, it really sort of blew me away. And she said, now, you can use this paper, but you must never give my name. Obviously, as you'll see, that when she was 17, she fell in love with this fellow and had this great infatuation. But he was a violent fellow. He would beat her up, really abuse her and beat her up and so on like that, but she couldn't break off from him. And then finally she became pregnant, but she decided to carry the baby through, not to have an abortion, to carry the baby through. And he said her parents were very supportive, and she can only praise them. They're very supportive and comforting. So she carried the baby through, but then when she was delivering the baby, it was a very difficult delivery, and she almost died. And she said she was just about slipping out of consciousness and going when she heard the little cry of the baby newborn, and the contrast of her life almost slipping away and the new life coming. She caught the preciousness of existence. And that was her discovery. That's a hard way to do it. But you can see why she didn't want her name to be used. I had no idea. And then she gave the baby away, as a matter of fact. But I had no idea this girl had been through this. But she deeply appreciated existence from the fact that she was about to lose it and then this new existence. So those are the sort of limit cases when you wake up to what we ordinarily just simply take for granted.